All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 4 of the Jason Scalora Show. Back here with my boy Yvonne.
Great to be here.
Absolutely. So, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I got a question for you. How do you, let's say you're trying to help somebody out, right?
Yeah.
You're putting all this attention. How do you stop putting that attention into them?
Why? Why would you? It's not. I don't.
Like they're not growing, and you could see they have no intention in growing, even though they showed it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And then now they're in a spot where you can see that they're not. They don't want to change.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually.
They
want
like
to grow.
their old lifestyle rather than what could be.
Yeah, they're just not changing.
So how do you? Let's say you have to spend a good amount of time with them.
Yeah.
How do you like space yourself away from them?
Well, that's two different questions.
Okay.
So to answer your first question is how do you stop attending to them and trying to help them, right? And so for me, that's a mental shift. And the quote that I sound like a broken record with is do not cast pearls before swine, right? Because if you're trying to help somebody and you keep trying to help them, you keep trying to help them, you keep trying to help them, bearing in mind that you are coming from a good place and you do want the best for them, and the words of advice that you're telling them are things that they should use and can use and would make their lives better. Having that said, if that's where you're coming from and that's the truth of the matter, and they're still not taking your advice, you need to stop talking. You need to. You have to stop offering that advice to that person because all you're doing is devaluing your own opinion when you give it to people that do nothing but reject your opinion and your values and your words of advice.
Let me add on to that. Let's say you just you don't want to spend time with this person, but you like their company. But you can see they're not growing.
Yeah.
But like, how do you limit yourself from like not talking to them?
Well, I don't think
anything.
I don't think you need to stop talking to them, because here's the thing: is like a lot of times, at least for somebody like me, I've been through it with a couple relationships where I started the whole personal development thing, and I realized a couple of my friends that I was spending my time with weren't on the same wavelength of self-improvement. And so I thought that what I needed to do was to just completely cut them out of my life. Because if they weren't working on themselves as hard or harder than I am, then I need to cut them out. But that's not the truth, because it's not a black and white answer with things like that. Usually it's not a black and white answer with anything. But in this case, there's a big gray area. And that gray area is the difference between no association and limited association. Because limited association means I enjoy my time with you, we have fun, I'm in a good state of mind when I'm with you, but it's not necessarily great for me to hang out with you all the time. So it doesn't mean you have to go from hanging out with them all the time to never. Maybe it means you hang out once a month or once every other month, or however many times you think is good for you, to the extent where it's good for you. You know what I mean? Because it's like having desserts. How often should you have a chocolate lava cake from Chili's?
Every Tuesday.
Right? You understand what I'm trying to say, though? It's like it doesn't mean you don't have to make it some dramatized thing of like, I can never spend time with you. With that said, I think there are a lot of people out there who have relationships where you should go from a lot of association to completely blocking somebody out of your life and never talking to them again, because that's what that situation needs in order for you to actually be okay with who you are. But I think it's far and few with those kind of situations.
So whenever I'm at the gym, I'll see a lot of friends. I want to talk to them. How do I like just go on my own, do my own thing? Like, yeah, I want to say hi to them. That's fine. But like mid-workout, I'm like, I just want to spark up a conversation with this person.
So what do you mean? Is the problem that you're running into is that you just keep self-sabotaging because you...
I would say so. Like, I have work to do. I want to get this done. But instead, I talk to this person.
And instead of getting your workout done and being in the flow state. Okay, then, I mean, it's a matter of... I mean, for me, things like that, the way I handle those kind of situations, it's constantly remembering and just building the habit. Right, because like, for example, like if this is something you're thinking about, right? You're in the gym and you want to get a good workout in, and it's ruining your workouts because every time you go to exercise, you're going around, you're talking to people, you're not having good sets, you're thinking about other things, your mind-muscle connection's gone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then the thing I do is remember it every time that thought comes up, right? So like if the thought comes up of, oh, I want to go talk to my boy over there, and so you're going to leave your lat pull downs or whatever, and you're going to go talk to him instead of doing the exercise and doing the thing that you know that you actually want to do and is your priority. In those moments, build the habit of remembering what my priority is. Because a lot of times we get caught up in any habit, in this case, like sabotaging your workouts to talk to somebody, because you're just unconscious, because you're not thinking about the thoughts that are entering your brain. Because if you can get in the habit of constantly, every single time you have the thought of, oh, I want to talk to them, I want to interact with them, I want to do this, I want to do that, it's like the impulse is always going to be there. But if you can get in the habit of remembering this is not the time for this, then you'll break that pattern of thought where you can be in the flow state, you can be unconscious and not let thoughts inhabit you, to where when you are in autopilot, that habitual thought isn't even going to get there because you've implemented a new one, which is, this is just what I do.
For me, I would say when like any opportunity arises, I feel like I'm left out if I don't go to it. I think that's recently what's been messing with me. I feel like I'm left out of something, but I'm not.
So maybe you got to ask yourself if that is your priority.
That's the thing.
Maybe it's not. It might not be.
Might not be.
It might be worth it to spend a lot of your time at the gym, like socializing. Like if that's a skill you want to develop, if you want to build more relationships with other people, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe what you're actually scared of is fear of judgment of other people for being the guy that talks instead of works out, and works out his mouth more than he works out his arms, or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I think it's just I don't know where my priority is right now. I think I'm just in a confused state. What do I really want? Because most of the time I'll work out at home, no distractions, nothing. But at the gym, I know I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm just going to not have as good as a workout.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could. For me, it sounds like after you said that, like you might just want to interact with people and build relationships, and there's nothing wrong with that. You might be putting too much into it, because it seems like, for me personally, it's like, I don't know. Like when if I'm doing a couple sets, maybe I'll finish my full 4 sets of whatever I'm doing and then go and talk to somebody and then get back into my next set. But if I'm not you and you're not me. Like if that completely ruins your workout, then find a time, be like, or maybe at the end of your workout, go up to them or shoot them a text like, hey, let's go out for lunch. What are you doing Thursday, or something like that? Yeah,
I feel you. I think one thing I wanted to come into is that like feeling you're missing out on something. Do you feel like that at times?
Everybody has FOMO.
FOMO, that's what it's called.
Fear of missing out. It's a big thing. It's a big thing that comes up in college all the time. And the way I always bring it up is,
quick little drink of the water.
Yeah, my mouth is parched. No, FOMO, fear of missing out, is a big thing with college students that I have conversations with kids all the time about, because for me personally, I'm an extrovert. I like going out. I like going out to bars and clubs and dancing my ass off and having fun. Like, I enjoy that scene. I enjoy being around that crowd of people. But for somebody maybe even like you, that's not your scene. You don't want to be there. It's going to drain the hell out of you. You're not going to enjoy yourself. But there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. The thing that happens is people get FOMO. Introverts will get FOMO because they're not going out, and they'll see in people's Snapchat stories or Instagram or whatever that they're out to clubs and parties and whatever and having fun, thinking that their version of fun is what their version of fun is, right?
Like that's the only fun.
That's what fun is, as if fun isn't something that's completely subjective, which it is, right? And so I always have the conversations with introverts like, listen, if you're having this FOMO feeling, ask yourself why. Like, keep asking why, and you'll get to the root of it. It's because every time I scroll on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat, or I'm talking to kids in college, that's what their definition of fun is. And not for nothing, extroverts are loud, right? Introverts aren't posting on their story what they're having fun doing because they're introverts. Like typically they're not going to be the ones expressing it. So introverts are loud, and so you're going to get more of that message because they're the more loud crowd. And so then you're thinking that that's what everybody's doing because that's more of what you're seeing. But in reality, like your fear of missing out on going out to a club, it's all made up in your brain. Like, okay, I think everybody should go and do it. Like if you keep having this feeling of, oh, I need to do it, 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 go do it. If you hate it and you didn't enjoy yourself, don't do it again, right? But if you still have that feeling of fear of missing out when people are going out to clubs and bars and whatnot, then you need to think about why. Because chances are the only reason why you have that fear of missing out is because you're putting that on a pedestal and defining going out to a club as fun, when in reality, fun is whatever fun is for you.
Yeah. I guess for me, what I really love to do is talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
So at the gym, I'm always trying to, not even at the gym, just out and about. I'm always looking at people and like, I want to help this person no matter what state. Do you think that's healthy? Should I be doing that? Like you were saying, like, don't put out your word like too much, but like, should I search for those people that I could help, or should I just let it come to me?
It depends on what it is. I don't know, because what you're saying is too broad of an aspect, and it's not necessarily, again, a black and white answer for every situation. For me personally, I believe like if you want to go out and like, because it seems like the root of where you're coming from is I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. Like that's what I'm here to do, which is great. I don't think that should ever change ever, but that comes up in different ways. A lot of times, serving people to the best of your ability may be leaving them alone and letting them do their thing. That might be the best thing you can do to serve somebody. If somebody's maybe sitting down, maybe you're walking through the mall and like somebody doesn't have a smile on their face and you just smile at them. Like that's service. You know what I'm saying? So like it doesn't necessarily have to be, hi, I'm Yvonne, let me help you with your problems. Like
I think for me, just ever since I started like trying to help myself, I try to be the best possible. And then there's like negative aspects to it, trying to do more than I should.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's just where I get stuck on, trying to do more than I should.
Right. Yeah. And I fall into the same trap very frequently, and it still happens all the time. But the thing that really helps me get over that is when, so like for example, let's say this still happens to me consistently. I'll be talking to some students that live in my building, right? And we'll be talking, and they'll be talking about their problems, whether they're complaining about it or not, doesn't really matter. But they'll be talking about it, and immediately I'm like, I know how to help you. I know you can do X, Y, and Z to solve your problem and to get yourself on a better path to be happy and fulfilled. But 9 times out of 10, as you can tell through just talking to someone, you'll know whether or not they want to change, and 9 times out of 10 they don't. They just want to talk about their problems, which is fine, right? No judgment, nothing. Like, but it's the best way I'm going to be able to help you is to just live my life, do me, and be the best version of me as possible, and hopefully that can be of influence to you. That's the best thing I can do for you. Because offering my advice to somebody who doesn't want to take it is counterproductive to both people.
Yeah.
Because when you offer advice to somebody, again, do not cast pearls before swine. When you offer advice to somebody who's going to do nothing but reject it, you're devaluing your own word, and you're not helping them. Nobody wins. Nobody wins.
But I think I just try to have that like friendly conversation with somebody.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, but that's very different than like going into it like, I want to help you, I want to help you, I want to help you.
I think that's kind of the mindset I have. I want to help them, but like start off with just being friends, having that friendly conversation, and then eventually just bring it up. Because whenever I talk to people, I want to have a deep conversation with them, like anybody I talk to. Yeah. So sometimes I'm trying to have a great conversation with somebody. It could be about anything, but in my head, I'm like, how can I help you? How can I help you? How could I help you? So I think it's just my mind is stopping me from just being a genuine person to somebody.
When that happens? That makes sense. But again, you got to think about it this way. It's like, is that really helping them? Because the best thing you can do to help somebody is to be genuine. Because the way to help somebody is to be real, right? you can't develop influence and rapport with anybody if you're not being genuine and real. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to help them, step one is be genuine. And if you're just trying to shove down their throat personal development or God or whatever it is that you want to help them with, even though it's coming from a good place, you're not going to help them if you're not being genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, you being genuine is going to mean you don't vibe with them. And that's the thing that I've had to learn the hard way. Is like, you just can't have deep conversations with 99% of people.
Yeah.
You really can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's tough. For me, definitely, I want to.
You're
Spread my word to everyone. I know you feel the same
you're
way.
preaching to the choir.
Yeah, but it's tough to like just put your foot down.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I feel like a broken record saying this, but it's like, if you try and force having a deep conversation with everybody you run into, you're going to consistently run into people that don't know how to have deep conversations. And the more you try and have deep conversations with people who do nothing but reject those type of conversations, all you're going to do is devalue your own word. And then when you do have a situation where you could have a deep conversation with someone, you're not going to have it because you're so conditioned. You condition yourself to subconsciously or consciously believing that what you have to say isn't valuable. And that's where you screw yourself. Is because if I talk to 100 people and 99 of them don't give a crap about personal development or any of these deep conversations that I'm trying to have, then that 100th person is not going to be able to have nearly as good as a conversation as you could have and get the breakthroughs that they could have gotten because I spent all this time wasted with those 99 other people. And not for nothing, but the best way to influence those 99 people who don't want to have the conversation is to be yourself and let yourself manifest however it's going to manifest. And that's the best way you can influence anybody.
So would you say just wait until, because a lot of people ask you for advice, when do you know it's like that person wants to help, like, really grow?
You'll just know.
So would you just say wait for it to happen?
Yeah,
to your life?
Let those come to you.
Okay.
But there's a balance of it too, right? So like, I'm not going to name any names, but for example, there was this girl that came to me and she was having some relationship issues, and I immediately knew that it was tied to her lack of confidence, which meant that she wasn't doing the things to make herself love herself. So she wasn't exercising consistently, she wasn't reading, wasn't journaling, wasn't keeping her room in check, like all these things that are the general basis of self-love, which in turn makes you know what you're worth. And once you have that sense of self-love, then you won't settle for a crappy relationship with somebody that's not going to treat you like you know you're worth because you don't have those habits, right? And so I could tell, like, that's just the first thing that came to my mind when we were talking. And then she was talking, and she wasn't necessarily complaining. She was just kind of telling me what was going on. And then she was like, I just don't know what to do. Like I really want this to get better. And I genuinely want to get better. Like, what would you recommend I do? And in that moment, the way she said it meant more than the words that came out of her mouth. And I knew that she wanted to do something about it. So then I had the conversation, and basically the spark now that I just told you is what I told her. And then from there, she's been kicking ass. Like, she's getting better. She's doing things. She's making her life better, self-educating. Like, she's doing well. And like, she's on the path to a better life. But I wouldn't have told her the advice if I didn't truly believe that she wanted to get better.
Let me ask you, did you ever have that, like, you had a belief in somebody and then it just turned out to be false?
Yep.
Yeah, that's, I think, the part where I get stuck on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to see somebody start actualizing their potential and then stop, because you know that if they just kept going, that they would take it
I
there.
think you kind of need to see that, like, they start something before you help them out.
Yep.
Like, hey, I started this. Can you help me out with this? Like, how do I do this? And then if you have that belief too that this person really wants to grow, then you get into their life.
Right. 100%. Yeah. I agree. I think essentially help somebody so long as you know that they want to be helped. That doesn't mean that they're going to forever want to be changed. If there's one day where they decide they don't want to anymore, then that's the day you stop trying to help them. Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
You can't. And again, trying to make it drink is wasting your time and wasting theirs.
But yeah, what's been on your mind?
I
think we spent a good amount of time on that.
So I really like the topic we were talking about before we started recording was about the about optimism.
Yeah. So
Tell your side of the story, like what you heard.
yeah. So I was just at the gym, and then there's this guy. He's been through more than I've been through, 10 times more than I've been through. Just this dude's been through it. But every time he comes in, comes in with a smile, makes everybody in the staff happy, all the members happy. This dude, like, he's gone through the shit, but even through that, he's grateful for just being alive. Every day he comes in, he's like, I woke up today. And then that gives me inspiration to be better. But like we were talking about, there's people have that optimism of like, just optimism in the good, I'll say. There's also optimism in the bad, I think.
Yeah.
That's what you were trying to get out before,
Sort
right?
of. Yeah. Well, I mean, because you were telling me about the story about this guy and like how his life is totally screwed up and like life has thrown things his way that on the surface to most people seem absolutely terrible and most people would use as an excuse to feel miserable and treat people miserably. And so, but instead, he walks around with a smile on his face and is grateful for the things he can be grateful for, right? And so he's happy that he woke up that morning instead of sulking about the things and complaining about the things that life threw his way that weren't fair to him, that were unjust, but happened regardless. And a lot of people look at those stories and view it the same way they'll view some inspirational, corny quote, right? The glass is half full if you choose for it to be half full, right? And people look at that like, that's BS, like, that's not real life, whatever. And they'll look at the story the same way, where it's like, it's just corny optimism. Or maybe he's just born that way. That's just how he's wired. Or whatever excuse or words you want to put to it, so be it. But the truth of the matter is like, the only reason you think that way is because you've been conditioned to believe like corny optimism is corny optimism. But the realistic definition of optimism is you get to choose how you view the world, right? Because you can't decide what's going to happen. You can't. You have this much control over what's going to happen in your life. Zero. It's if you think you do, it's an illusion. You have no control over what's going to happen. But you can control what things mean. That's what you can control. And if you choose to give things shitty meanings, then you're going to feel shitty.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
it's
is.
common sense.
Yeah. But it's like, it's a choice, right? And usually it's a habitual pattern of thought, almost always, right? Because if you're the type of person that's going to complain about having too much milk in your iced latte from Starbucks, you're the type of person that's going to continue to complain about more serious things as well, right? But it's a choice. What does this mean?
Everything's a choice. It's the perspective you put on life.
100%, right? Let's say you get your coffee, it doesn't taste good like it normally does, and so you decide that means that person doesn't care about you and doesn't value your time or your money, your energy spent into getting this coffee and driving there, whatever, and you're so focused on me. But the meaning you give it was they don't care. And so you treat them like shit because they don't care.
You kind of take that identity that like, oh, these people don't care about me.
Right.
No, I was just going to say, like, you start seeing the world as like, it's against you.
100%.
You start seeing that like people are after you.
100%.
You start seeing the negative into the world. You're not seeing what's actually out there.
And it comes from the fact that you chose to give it that meaning. You chose that meaning. And it made you feel that way. But it all came from your choice. Because that guy that you met at the gym who's gone through these terrible things and still walks around with a smile on his face and gratitude in his heart, like, if he gets that coffee with too much milk in it, his first thought might be, and the meaning he might give it is probably going to be something like, oh, they're probably really rushed in there. There's like 6 cars behind me. I hope this guy has a much better day. Like, I hope things are going better for him or her or whatever.
I hope they're not rushed in there.
I know. I hope he's in a good state of mind. Because if he's putting way too much milk in my coffee and it tastes like crap, then I'm assuming he's not having a great time in there either. Right? But it's going to dictate how you feel. Right? Because, I mean, in reality, like, life is just objectively a bunch of lights and colors and sounds.
Bunch of pictures.
That we get stimulated by. And then we die.
And then we put whatever meaning we want to those pictures.
Whatever label you want to put on them is what you get to decide to put on them. And if Viktor Frankl can be locked up in Auschwitz during the Holocaust and come out of that experiencing joy and happiness and gratitude, then you can experience joy and gratitude and happiness when you have too much milk in your coffee.
No, you think it's just people, how they're raised like that? It's just...
My answer to that is God. At the moment, I think I haven't spent enough time thinking about it or learning about it to have a good answer for that.
I got you.
About why people are optimistic instead of others. Because, like, as far as the deepest I can go with that is it's your habitual thoughts and your paradigm, meaning your subconscious mind. And if you want to be more optimistic, corny as it sounds, if you want to be more positive or happier, then that comes from the habitual thoughts that you can implement into your life. Because, I mean, that's what I did. I was super negative and rude to people, and then I implemented those thoughts with new and better thoughts. And every time I would judge somebody, I would catch it and then replace it with a new thought of an empathetic way of thinking.
So you had to catch it.
Right.
You had that thought.
Right.
Was it your first thought that you had?
What do you mean?
Like, let's say...
Let me finish this thought real quick, and then we'll
Yeah.
get into that. But so that I would have the judgment thought, I would replace it with a new thought, and then over time, I became a more optimistic person. I changed the way I thought. I changed my subconscious mind through implementing new thoughts over time. But how did I get there? How did I get to the point of wanting to do that?
Like, when was the moment that, like, you were like, I want to start changing how
When
I
you
thought?
and I had the conversation in the car.
Mm-hmm.
When I figured out that my parents were splitting up. Like,
Do you think it was even before that? Because you had to want to change. You think you just got so sick of it? You were like,
didn't want to change before that. I didn't. I had no desire. That was the first time in my life
Really?
I actually, it's the first time I actually remember wanting to work on self-improvement. But again, that's as far as I can go with why people are optimistic and why people are pessimistic. It's like, I have no answer for what made me have the spark of wanting to change. The only answer I can think of, which is not a good answer, is I'm high in conscientiousness, the personality trait of being disciplined and willing to work hard. Again, that's just God. That's just my personality that I was given. But yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, so let's say an opportunity arises where you could judge people, a person. I'm trying to think of an example, but let's just say, like, I don't know, somebody starts talking about, like, something good that happened to him. Was your first thought in your head, like, oh, like, I wish that was me, or like something judging towards him negative?
Used to be.
It was the first thought.
Used to be.
And then did you get to the point where you switch that thought so many times, so when you hear it now, that positive thought comes in first?
Yep. Okay. The way I like to explain it to people is like, it sounds so simple. It took me 4 years, and it's sometimes the thought still comes up where I'll like just be talking to someone, and then when they'll say something positive that happened in their life, and then immediately I'll be jealous and wish it was me and wish them poorly. Like, feels crappy saying that, but it's just like the truth. Sometimes it happens, and it happens to a lot more people than people would like to admit, but you're a human being. But the way I like to visualize it and like explain to people is like, imagine you have a train, right? And these are your thoughts that you have. And the train, let's say your judgment train, like it's certain experiences will trigger certain trains of thought to come through. And so the head of the train is somebody tells you something good about their life, right? Regardless of if it's coming from their ego or not, doesn't matter. Something good happens to somebody else. And then the next train is your first thought. That first thought is, fuck that guy. I wish that was me. Why does he get that and not me? Why does God or the universe bless him and not me? Why does he have that and not me? Right? And so those trains will just keep passing by and passing by and passing by. And you don't even know they're there until you start to watch those trains pass by. Right?
You start monitoring it.
Exactly what I was about to say. You start monitoring those thoughts. Start catching them when they come through. Don't even have to do anything about them. Just realize when you're thinking those thoughts, Like, you're in a conversation, you're like, oh, I feel crappy right now because Alex just told me something good that happened to him, and I wish it had happened to me, and I don't want good things to happen to him because I'm insecure about myself. Okay. But that's just the thought process that came through. So you catch it, and then eventually you'll catch it in the conversation instead of afterwards. And you'll be like, huh. And so you catch it more, you catch it more. Again, this all comes from monitoring it and thinking about what you're thinking about. And so then the more that train comes through, Eventually, you can get to a point where in that moment, you know that train's about to come, so you cut it off and you put in a new train.
Mm-hmm.
You cut it off, you put in a new train. Good for him. Good for him. That's awesome. Good for him. I'm happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm genuinely happy for him.
And then, because I think people get to the point where, at least I would say like I'm happy for him, but I would feel like it would come from an ego spot. Like I want to say I'm happy for him, just so I could say I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that, because I actually just started thinking about it as soon as I finished my thought there, was like, it's very, very difficult to be truly happy for somebody else when they're winning if you're not winning. Like, it's truly hard to feel love for somebody else when you don't love yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not confident in who you are, if you're not doing the best you can in the areas of life that matter, then it's going to be very hard to be happy for somebody else when they're succeeding as well. Because when you have your water bottle full and you have all this extra water laying around, you want to give it to other people. You know what I'm saying? But when your water bottle's half full or it's empty and you see that other people are filling theirs up, it's really easy to get jealous. You know what I'm saying? So a big part of me believes it's like, if you're working on your body, you're working on your mental health, you're working on your finances, your career, you're working on your spirituality and your relationship with God or the universe or whatever you believe in, and you're working on the areas of life that matter to you consistently, you'll be in a good place. And when you're in that good place, you want other people to be in a good place as well. And so when other people come to you with good things that are happening to them in their lives, it's a lot easier for you to want them to be happy and to celebrate their wins as well as yours, because you're in a good spot too.
You're putting the work into yourself.
100%.
Because you're doing that, you want other people to grow.
Right.
And yeah, I totally agree with that, but I always like just get that thought. Like I feel genuinely happy about somebody, but I don't know if the ego is just trying to play tricks on me. The devil is trying to put a bad thought in my head. I'm like, I just start second guessing myself. Like, am I truly happy for this person?
Why?
That I don't know. It just
How often does it happen? Does it happen every time, or
not every time? But I don't know if I feel a different type of way about somebody's success. Maybe it's a certain success that I want to get. It's that fear of being left out. And then I think I have that thought, like that train. It's like in my head I'm saying, like, fuck this dude, like, why wasn't that me? And I'm trying to replace it with good for that dude. But in my head I'm like, should I be doing that? Like, I'm trying to replace it, but I'm like, what am I gaining from that?
From replacing it? Happiness, peace
I know.
of mind.
That's why I try to do it, but sometimes I'm like, am I being fake to this person?
No. I personally, I think no.
Yeah. That's what I thought too, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, a lot of people think that changing your personality means you're fake.
A lot of people told me that. It's like
I just disagree, because here's the thing: is like when from ages 2 to 4 is when you do when 2 to 4. I think it's like 2 to 6, 2 to 7. I don't know. Psychologically, there's a certain age of like when your brain is developing and you're like a sponge to everything around you in your environment, and the habitual thoughts and feelings and perspectives and philosophies on the world are basically just implemented in your brain, meaning the people you spend the most time with, meaning if you have a mom and dad or guardians at home, and the friends you spend the most time with, their perspectives on the world and their philosophies and their thoughts and viewpoints are going to be your viewpoints. And then you reach a point in your life when you're young, maybe around 9 or 10 years old. Again, I could be wrong with the age, doesn't really matter, where you're now conscious. But your conscious expressions are purely based on your unconscious, about your paradigm, about the things that you sponged up when you were growing up.
Things that you had no control over.
Things that you had no control over put there, which means that that's your personality, right? A certain extent is genetics, but a lot of it is nurture as well. Right? Like your perspectives on things, whether or not you're optimistic or pessimistic, whether or not you're kind or rude, whether or not you're judgmental or empathetic. You know what I mean? Like these kinds of things are usually coming from nurture. Genetics play a role. DNA plays a role. Yes. But people are not just assholes because they're genetically assholes. That's just not how it works. And if you think that now not becoming an asshole means that you're going to just be fake to people, you're just using it as an excuse to not work on yourself. Because the truth of the matter is if you want to be an optimistic person and treat people more kindly and better, you know that's a good thing. You know that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Using the word being fake is just an excuse to not put in the hard work that it's going to take for you to go from being a pessimistic, judgmental dick to being an optimistic, kind, empathetic human being.
Because it is tough to stop listening to your first thought.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, I spent a long time trying to think about this. You aren't your thoughts.
You're not your thoughts.
So when you have that first thought, you hold on to it. Because the first thing you hear, that's like the first thing. Like if somebody tells you a fact and somebody else tells you a different fact that like counters it, you'll believe that first fact first, like more because that's the first thing you heard.
100%.
So a lot of people, they hear that first thought and they're like, this is me.
Yeah.
I hate this person because their brain said that. But then once you start like, you go outside of your body and you're like, you start thinking like, maybe close your eyes. That's what I do. Just start thinking, where are you right now? Like, where is this thought coming from?
Yeah.
Because then you could start seeing in yourself, you aren't this thought.
100%.
You're just a soul. You're just living this life.
Yeah.
These thoughts just come into your head. We don't know. I mean, I have no idea where these thoughts come from, but
yeah. So many factors because you're a human being. You have 24 hours in a day, and like all of those, every second is influencing you in some way, shape, or form and shaping you into who you are.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Because each second, would you say you have a thought every second?
No.
But you have a good amount of thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think people, and then when people consistently have the same thought, they really think that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like once they like, let's say, I'll just give the example, they keep failing in like every test they have, they fail. Their first thought is like, I suck at learning.
Right.
Like I suck at this.
100%.
That's ingrained in their head. When in actuality, if they put the work in, just had a different perspective on it, they could easily just change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Because you get to a point where you read The Power of Now. That's all I'm saying. Read that freaking book. It is so good. Because it for me, like I've read it twice now, and both times immediately after reading it, you get into such a good habit of separating you from your thoughts and like consistently doing it and remembering to do it and monitoring that. Because once you separate yourself from your habitual thoughts, then you could change your thoughts, right? It's the same thing with the trains passing through. You can't change the trains passing through if you're in the train. You can only change it if you're outside the train working on the train. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then what I want to say is like with books, what I didn't realize is when you read books, you're getting that information, but in actuality, you're practicing whatever they're saying. I'll say that for like a nonfiction book.
Yeah.
Like The Power of Now is teaching you to like, you're not your mind. You're practicing that while you're basically monitoring it while you're doing it. It's not you're reading a book. You're not like, just, I have this piece of paper, I'm reading it. You're doing what they're telling you subconsciously.
Right.
Once you start looking at learning like that, like reading a book, I don't know about fiction, but nonfiction is literally learning a skill.
100%.
It's not, you're getting better at reading it, of course, but you're learning whatever that book is trying to teach you. And then if you have a book that you like Atomic Habits, I love that book.
Oh, so good.
I wanted to get my habits better. I read that book, I start monitoring it, I become a better person.
100%. I love that. And for a lot of people, listen, if you hate reading and you can't do it, I understand. Don't have to do it. Throw on a podcast. Throw on something regarding self-improvement. Like, it's the number one way to make your life better is to learn about the areas that you want to get better.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with information, like be a sponge for that kind of stuff. Like if you want to be able to build habits, what I would recommend to you is read Atomic Habits, and then every single morning and every single spare second that you can have, be listening to things you could literally look up on YouTube how to build habits and just consume those videos. If you don't like it, skip next. Skip next.
And it could literally be, even if you do 10 minutes a day, that's more than you did last time.
100%. But when you do that, you're going to monitor it, and you're going to be consistently learning about what it is that you want to get better at, and things will get better.
the thing, you start turning into a different person, which people like are scared of that. That's what people are scared of. You literally become a different person. You have to. The thing is, you who you are right now versus the person you have to be, they're two different people.
100%.
You have to change.
There's this really it's a TikTok actually. Some guy edited it, and he's in self-improvement, and he was talking about there's two kinds of pain. There's the pain of action, and then there's the pain of inaction. And the pain of inaction is super drawn out. If I sit there in my mom's basement and eat Cheetos and play video games all day, it's going to be painful in the long run. When I have heart disease, when I can't get off the couch, when the thought comes up in my brain about how my life is meaningless, when I'm not helping people, like that's the pain of inaction, right? Your life is meaningless. Then there's the pain of action, which is you're not sitting on the couch and eating Cheetos. You're exercising. You're doing things to make your life better. Maybe you're meditating. Maybe you're reading. Maybe you're whatever it is that you're doing to actually make your life better. And you know what it is that's going to make your life better. And that gives your life meaning. But there's pain involved with that. But you take it up front, right? That's the pain of action. Is it's immediate, right? So if you're going to go work out, that physical stress, that physical pain, that annoyance of getting off the couch and going to the gym, like you take it up front. But you pay for that up front. But the point is, whether you do nothing or inaction, take the path of inaction, or you take the path of action, there's pain on both paths.
No matter, life is pain.
There's no pain or suffer-free path. Sorry. Sucks. I wish there was a different road, but there's not.
There's not.
There's not. You can either choose the pain of not doing anything and not trying and wasting your potential on eating Cheetos and playing video games and having a meaningless life. You can choose that. Or you can choose the pain of working your ass off to be the best version of yourself that you can be and having a meaningful life. It's your choice.
I think for a lot of people, the tough thing is that, like, trying something new. And then what I was writing.
I'm just gonna make sure I'm still rolling. Keep going.
Yeah, of course. But what I was thinking about earlier, and I was writing it down, is people, they worry about one little second for years. Are we good? We're good. Yeah, but
the people worry about one little second for years.
Like, let's say on the podcast, like somebody watches it, makes fun of me. That's one moment in my life that I'm gonna feel shitty.
Yeah.
Just one moment. And I could think about going on the podcast for months, years, just every day, just thinking like I should be on the podcast, just like mentally draining myself and making me feel worse because I didn't take that first step.
I'm a little confused. What do you mean? Like, what do you?
Yeah, ask me something.
Like, what do you mean about like draining it out?
I would say regret, and that regret is draining your soul. Like each day that passes, you're regretting the past, and that's making you worse and worse and worse and worse. And you're becoming a more regretful person.
Yeah.
And like you have to realize that's one moment in your life that you're just scared to tackle.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just one moment of discomfort, and you don't even know if it's going to be discomfort. You might go through it and somebody's like, hey, like this was amazing.
That makes sense.
And just because your head, you were like, if I do this, I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
It became who you are.
Yeah.
Who you are. You're not your thoughts, but like,
no, I love that.
It was in your thought.
I love that.
Like the first thing in your thought was every day is I should be doing this.
Right.
Whatever it is. Maybe you want to start working out, and every day you don't go to the gym, you wake up every morning, I should hit the gym. And then you don't. And then you have that inactivity. The whole day you're like, I should hit the gym.
Yeah.
Like just thoughts throughout the day. Like however many times you're like, I should hit the gym.
Yeah. I love that. And the way immediately the philosophy that comes to my mind is the devil you know is usually not worse than the one you don't know. Usually. The devil you know, meaning the pain and discomfort, knowing that you are not actualizing your full potential, is way worse than the devil you don't know, which is the pain and the uncomfort and the embarrassment of being a noob at the gym.
'Cause,
you're living that out.
uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know. A lot of people think it's like, I'm trying to think of an example of where people assume subconsciously that it's a zero sum path of like it's either they're going to experience the pain of trying something out that's going to be good for them, or zero pain where they are now. But that's not reality. The reality is you're bringing yourself down, and there's pain in what you're doing now, and there's also pain involved in, and
Either way you pick, it's pain.
yes, but a lot of
Painful.
people assume that the path that they're on, meaning if they don't change, that they're on a zero pain path.
Mhm.
But that's just because you're used to it. It doesn't mean that.
Very good.
Yeah, you're just because you got comfortable with a certain flavor of pain doesn't mean that there's no pain. It just means that you're used to it. That's all that means. It's like wearing clothes. Like, you can wear itchy ass clothes all the time, and eventually they're not going to itch anymore.
At all.
They're not. But you're still wearing terrible
Yeah.
clothes.
If you tried on those clothes, those new ones, you know how good they would feel after wearing a year of itchy clothes?
Yes, you're so uncomfortable. You're not used to this new shirt. You know it's nice. You know it's good for you. You know it's right for you. But it just feels weird because you're just not used to it. Wear that shirt for a year. Work out for a year.
Mm-hmm.
See how it feels to skip a day. See how it feels to start eating crappy again.
You are I like to quote, like, you are the average of like everything you've done in the past.
100%.
So whatever you want to be comfortable in, you can be.
Yeah.
Like hearing David Goggins, if he's not like strapping up his ankles because they're broken,
Yeah.
that's his comfortable spot.
Yeah.
Like, you can be comfortable anywhere.
It's wild. That man is.
Yeah, that's what started it for both of us, I think. At least for me.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted to get huge at the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just tried one day, and I was like, this dude could do this. Like, imagine what I could do.
No, 100%. Yeah.
I love that story, but
No, I just.
the thing is, I just took it too seriously.
Me too. That's what I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
but like I took it too seriously at the gym, but like other aspects of my life too.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best at everything.
It was a good place to start, though.
It is. I think
it's kind of the place to start.
David Goggins.
Well, not even David Goggins, but the whole getting super hyped for whatever it is that you're doing is like, I don't know. I think it's a very
You
common
have
trend with.
so much motivation and momentum that
Yes.
like it gets you started. Plus, like, it just gets you through the first few weeks
Right.
because you have so much of that.
That drive.
Yeah,
No.
that adrenaline.
I feel that.
adrenaline. The
Adrenaline.
testosterone going through your blood.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Because that's where I started too. Was like, I was always just, get after it. Get up at 4:30 in the morning. Get up at 3:30 in the morning. Don't sleep. Like,
Yeah. Because I would go to bed at like 11, wake up at 3:30.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why am I tired at 2?
Why? why is my mood regulation absolutely terrible?
Yeah.
This is odd. Oh, sleep's important. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think you can do it for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
I mean, you could do it forever.
that's the thing. You start doing it. Let's just say you sleep for like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And like for like 2 weeks, you're so like,
Mm-hmm.
you get so much work done because you have 20 hours in a day instead of whatever, like 16. Eventually, you get to the point where like you need the sleep. It'll come bite you in the ass.
I disagree a little bit.
You think so?
Yeah, because people do that. People live like that. People live on 4 hours of sleep every single night. But so Matthew Walker, he's a sleep scientist. He's like the expert on sleep. He's like the most well-known, renowned sleep expert. And he talks about it. He's like, when people are constantly underslept, eventually you get to a point where you don't know that you're underslept because it's your new norm.
That's
like,
crazy how that could be your new norm.
Right. And people, the way he describes it is like, if you go to a bar with someone and they have 6 or 7 shots and they're like, and the person who's had 6 or 7 shots is like, listen, I'm fine to drive. I feel fine. Like, trust me, just give me my keys. I'm good to go. And the other person, like, you being sober, are like, listen, I know you think that you're fine subjectively, but objectively, you're not. You're not fine to drive. But you just don't know how drunk you are because you're so used to being this drunk. In other words, when you're sleep deprived, you don't understand how much you're missing out on and how much mood regulation you're missing out on, how much your body's not recovering, how much your mind isn't recovering, how terrible you feel in comparison to how you could feel just because this is your new norm, right? If you're getting 4 hours, your quality of life is going to be here. You start getting 8 hours, your quality of life is going to be here. But after a while, your body, biologically, you can't remember how good 8 hours felt because you've been sleeping on 4 for so long.
It's like what I was saying. Everything you do becomes your norm.
100%.
But do you think that like you can't maintain that forever?
4 hours?
I mean, that's just like a example. But like,
No, I think you can.
because like David Goggins, he can't run 100 miles every weekend.
True.
There's that point of like you're doing too much.
Yes and no. Because I never think that there's doing too much. I think that people don't know what maxing out really means. Because how is it like if I'm a father and I wake up in the morning and I work out and I go to work and let's say I'm like Elon Musk and I'm spending 18 hours every single day working on my business and then I'm spending the other time exercising and like just maxing out on what they think maxing out is, right? Why is maxing out not spending an entire weekend with your family? How is that not personal development? Because it is. Because that's an area of life that really, really matters. That still means maxing out. That still is self-improvement 24/7.
That's what I mean. You pick one category and you do it too much.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
I'm glad we got to that conclusion.
Yeah.
So there is that you could be better, but just you have to like space it out.
Right. It's like we talked in the last podcast. It's the balloons. If you just keep tapping one up, one up, all the other ones are going to fall. Sure, maybe you're making billions of dollars, but if you have a shitty physical health, mental health, poor family life, poor relationship with your creator, no spirituality, what's good is your career and finance balloons if all these other balloons are popping on the floor?
I think people take that like they pick one thing and try to do it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me in the beginning it was working out. That's
Same.
why I'm injured right now.
Same.
That's why you're injured
Same.
too.
Yeah.
Like we could have avoided that.
Yeah.
But like I think the thing is not to get in that trap of you pick one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I got like really into God,
Mm-hmm.
and like every second of the day, I want to learn more about God,
Right.
teach people about God. I don't want it to get to the point where I got injured with working out. I don't know what could happen with God.
Right.
Like maybe like one day I'm like, yeah.
See, I never thought about it in the sense where if you keep working in one area and one area alone, that eventually that area is going to get poor.
I wouldn't say poor. I was just, you can't run 100 miles every day.
Yeah.
I think you try to do more than you like physically are capable of, and then either God, the world, like just tells you to like chill out.
Well, that's a sub area. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy in and of itself. I agree with the fact that like if you're focused on one area, let's say in this case like your physical health, that eventually if you're only focused on improving your physical health, that the other areas of life you're going to suffer, your family, your finances, your career, or whatnot. But I think that like physical health doesn't necessarily mean that you're just consistently working out and then ruining your body. So then it's the opposite of physical health. Because it could mean you're stretching and you're in a sauna and you're just doing every single second of the day, you're just spent thinking about your body, working on your body, doing everything for your body. Your body will just be the best it can be. I don't think it necessarily means that you have to break yourself off and break your bones and run 100-mile races every single day.
I see what you're saying.
Because part of physical health means that you're getting right rest and recovery, right? That's still a part of like hitting that balloon up, upgrading yourself in that area of your life. But if you're so focused on that one area of your life the whole time, then all these other areas of your life are going to suffer. But I think that you could do that with everything, which is why I think that like you should monitor something and work on something like for a while and then move to the next.
I think what happens is because we're animals, we want more. You know what I mean? And then we get to the point where like, we done this, let's do more. Let's try more. And then people don't know that healthy, like you were saying, like work out like an hour and a half, get 8 hours of sleep. People start like, I want more. Let me work out 2 hours. Like working out is just an example, but they try to go for more, and like not everybody can be Michael Jordan.
Right.
So they try to get something they can't, And then imagine like spending like a whole year of your life trying to get something you can't.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. But then again, in looking at it objectively, you're not actually upgrading yourself in that area. You're downgrading yourself in that area.
Yeah, that's just like the extreme.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. That makes sense.
Like for me, I shouldn't have worked out how long I did.
Me too.
That's just how it is for me. I've learned from it, and now I know other areas in life. There's a certain point you can get better every day, but there's like a certain point. Like some days you should take a rest.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, but then again, you're talking about your physical health, and rest days mean a lot for physical health. When you take a rest day, you're working on your physical health. You may just have a problem with how you define getting better physically.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where your problem lies.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, how are you going? Like, you have these areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Physical health, mental health, etc. And in those are habits. And if you're only focused on the habit of running and not on the habit of getting enough sleep and stretching and resting and getting in the sauna, and you put those to the side and you're so obsessed with running and lifting, then your physical health is going to plummet, even though you're still running a lot and lifting a lot. It doesn't mean anything.
This is what I want to get into. Where do you get to the point where what's the difference between progress and movement?
Mistaking movement for progress.
Like what's like, you know what I mean? What's movement and what's progress?
I think that's the difference between discipline and diligence.
Explain.
So like discipline, I got that philosophy from Andy Frisella, and he talks about it like this: is like discipline means just doing something consistently. Diligence means doing it well consistently. Because, like, for example, this is a thing I got caught up in a lot. Was when I first started reading, I was reading and I was just reading. Like I was reading the book, and then after I finished the book, I write it down in my notes. Book 1 done, right? And so then
so many people definitely do that.
Yeah, so,
I've done that.
Yeah, and so then eventually I was at the point like, oh my God, I've read 10 books in the span of like 5 months. Like, this is really cool. And I understood those books to the fullest, right? I got it, right? I read it normally. And then I got to the point of, oh my God, how many books can I read? And then I was flying through books. Like a book in 5 days or like 4 days. And then I got to the point of realizing, oh, I'm not actually reading these books. I'm just scanning the pages so that I can write down in my notes that I was reading the books.
That's movement.
That's mistaking movement for achievement, mistaking movement for true progress. And then I got to the point of, okay, I'm not going to read 100 pages every day. I'm going to read 20 pages every day, but I'm going to read them well. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to reread things if I need to reread them.
It might take me an hour to finish it.
It might take me an hour for one sentence to keep pondering and learning the things I need to learn.
That's how it should be.
But the point is that you got to pull your head out of your ass. Like you're so focused on reading another book.
The movement.
I'm at 30 books for a year. I'm like, okay, what have you learned from those books? What have you applied from those books? It's like, you know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. But that's all ego.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. The movement. You see movement and you're like, oh, like I'm progressing.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, no, you're not.
It's not progress.
Yeah.
It's not true progress.
Like when you read a book and somebody asks you what the book's about and you don't know, like.
Back to page 1, sweetheart.
Yeah. Like.
Read it.
Yeah. I'll spend like now I'll highlight whatever I need to know. Like annotate. I might take like 2-3 minutes on a paragraph if I have to.
As you should.
Yeah. And then that's progress, the little steps.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, I heard this from Will Smith, but like when you put a brick down trying to build a wall, make sure that brick is as good as you could put it down.
Yeah.
And then with me with working out, was just I wanted the movement. Like the movement feels good.
Yeah.
Like when you think you're getting better, you're gonna do everything in your power to do it.
100%.
So when I'm putting the bricks down, I'm like just chucking them on the ground.
Yeah.
Literally.
You're trying to deadlift 800 pounds, but you're if you pulled your head out of your ass, your actual goal is to be in the best possible shape that you can be, but you're so focused on just getting more reps and more reps and more reps and more reps, when in reality, the more reps you're doing, the more you're just hurting yourself, which is the opposite of what your goal is.
Especially when you're lifting. It's kind of like with reading. When you're lifting, you're not thinking about your body.
Yeah.
Like mind and muscle.
Yeah.
You're just lifting.
You're
literally like hurting yourself.
Yeah.
If you're going heavy. That's what happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think the antidote for that is if you find yourself running through the motions and not actually making real progress, is remember what your actual outcome is. Remember what it is. If your only outcome is to say, I read 60 books this year and not to do anything with them, sure. Scan each page all you want. Don't remember a single thing. If that's your outcome, that's not your outcome. Mm-hmm. Your outcome is to learn and develop and grow, which means stop trying to read 1,000 pages in 10 minutes. Learn. Your goal with reading is to learn and improve your mental health or whatever it is it may be. So do that. Remember what your outcome is. Keep realigning with what your outcome is, because then it'll let your actions fall into place in the right way.
I think what a lot of people, I know I get it, like reading's the example we're using now, but I'll read and I'm like, I'm bored, I want to do something else. Mm-hmm. So I try to finish it just so I can go do something else.
Yes.
So there's that I think that's where the movement comes. It's that, again, talked about before, fear of being left out, mm-hmm. because you don't realize you could be so happy reading that one sentence, because mm-hmm. you're thinking about, oh, like if I finish this, I can go whatever, like go on my phone, whatever you do after, whatever is like stimulating you. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking about how happy you are in this moment.
Right.
You're listening to your ego. You're becoming your thoughts. Mm. When you need to I'm gonna start doing this now, is like when you feel like you're in that, like you're trying to rush something just so you have that movement, mm-hmm. just take yourself out of the body, maybe like deep breaths, just think about why you're doing this. Think about everything around you. Just start. What I do a lot is just be grateful about what I have and what's around me.
Right.
Because once you start doing that, you're like, you don't have that fear of being left out. You can't feel left out and be grateful at the same time.
100%. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
You just got to change
your state.
Like you said earlier, you got to catch it.
Yeah.
That's the first part, catching it.
A lot of people don't realize that too. Is like, if you want to develop a new habit of thinking, it takes a very, very, very long time. It takes a long time. And when I started realizing that I wanted to coach people with this, I was monitoring a couple things at once when I was changing my habitual thoughts. The big thing was going from judging people to not judging people. And so then I realized when I was judging people, how often I was catching myself judging people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I realized that at first, it was literally once a week. I would catch that thought one time in a week. And like, sounds like it's once a week, not bad. That's one thought. How many thoughts do you have a day? Thousands of thoughts in one day.
Like 23 or something.
23,000 thoughts?
No, 23.
23 thoughts in a day. 10. No, but like, for real, you have thousands of thoughts every day. How many thousands of thoughts is that in a week? And only one of them I caught, right? But then eventually it was once a day.
That's that progress. Sorry for cutting you off.
No,
that
100%.
That one was progress.
Yes.
That's one more than last week.
It took a long time. If you want to change yourself from being a pessimist to an optimist, or being someone who judges to someone who doesn't judge, or whatever it is that you want to change in terms of building a better mental habit and changing your thought processes, you have to be patient. You have to be.
I know I brought this up with you, but like how I like to think about it is like, if you want to change who you are, think about, let's say you want to get a six pack. Mm-hmm. How long would that take? You think, like an average guy?
It really depends on your body.
It could be like 3 months. You know what I mean? 3 months to get a six pack.
Yeah, or
think about
3 years.
How long it would take to change your life. Mm-hmm. Think about how long it would take. I'm thinking negatively to think positively. Yeah. That can't be an overnight thing. If it was an overnight thing, it's not gonna be a long-term thing.
And it wouldn't be worth it. Like, and because here's the thing, is like, it brings me back to like things that are valuable.
Love to hear it.
People are having a blast out there right now. It brings me back to like We're good.
Quick little intermission.
Yeah, let me get a quick sip while they have their banter. I love that laughter is contagious.
There's a reason for it.
It's a reason. It's smiling too.
Yeah.
So wonderful. It just made me think about like how many people would be if they were doing a podcast and whatever they're doing a podcast about would be so pissed that that happened. But like you just looked at it and, like smiled about it because like people are enjoying themselves.
How I see, like that person is laughing.
Yeah.
You don't like.
Why would you exactly? But it's you're a blessed soul, my friend.
Why would I want another human being to feel bad?
100%. I'm on the same wavelength, but I know that there's a time in my life where I wouldn't have. I would have.
It took time.
Pissed.
It took time.
Again, the habits, the habitual thoughts I built.
You could think however you want. Yeah. You just got to try. It takes time.
Yeah.
The mind is a very powerful thing, and it takes a long time to change it.
Right, and that's the thing that I was getting at. Is like, it's fine. It takes a super long time for you to change the thoughts that you habitually think, and there's a reason for it. Is because if it didn't, then it wouldn't be worth it, right? And it's the same thing with things that are valuable. The only reason why things are valuable and other things aren't is because some things aren't valuable. Because if everything had equal value, and nobody, aka if nobody had to work hard to live a happy, positive, and fulfilled life, then everybody would just be on the same level.
No gratitude there.
Nothing. It's the yin and the yang. You have to have bad in order to know what good is. You have to have good and bad and neutral to know what good and bad and neutral is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can only know what a distance is if you have a point A and a point B. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Whereas like there's no value, you're not going to feel the good feelings that come with making progress in any area of life if it wasn't difficult. If it was all easy, it wouldn't feel good.
It wouldn't feel good at all.
Why doesn't it feel good to sit down and do nothing and eat Cheetos and scroll through TikTok? Because it's easy as hell. It's mindless.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't feel good.
Compared to like, I don't know, sound difficult running a marathon. Imagine
100%.
how that feels.
Well, biologically, like going back to caveman times, that's how we're supposed to be wired for survival. Like catching prey and walking 30 miles to a tree that has fruit on it so that we can bring it home to the family. Like the dopamine you feel with the progress when you see the tree and then you take more steps towards the tree, you get more dopamine because that dopamine is attached to progress towards a worthwhile goal. Mm-hmm. The reason why it feels good is because it's hard to make progress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then now in the 21st century, when usually for most people this isn't a problem of having food and shelter and clothes on your back, of like now the problem lies with the fact that people now have so many things that are easy for them, where now the things that they do want to work on isn't to just live and survive. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know.
Because it's like back in the caveman, like you had to survive.
Yeah.
Now you could survive without trying to be better, trying to go through struggle.
Yeah.
And people realize that and they're like, why would I go through it?
100%.
Don't realize how much happiness, how much joy you get from going through that struggle, how much you learn, how much, because like for me, I love helping people out, but I couldn't do it if I didn't go through the struggle when I was younger.
Agreed.
And it's, I'm happy that struggle happened. Every person I asked, not every person, but every struggle we've gone through, we're grateful that it happened.
Mm-hmm. Everything happens to you, not for you. All right, we'll try this again. Everything happens for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. But again, how we started the podcast, the choice of what things mean to you is going to dictate how you feel. And if you're going to choose the fact that your partner cheated on you, or that somebody died, or that things didn't go the way you wanted them to go, as the meaning means that you're just unlucky, or life hates you, or God hates you, or the universe hates you, or just everything sucks, then that's your choice of the meaning that you gave it.
You can give it any meaning in the world.
And that's why two people who are twins, who are separated at birth but go through this, or that's a bad example. That's why two twins can grow up with the same family, the same literally identical DNA, and the same nurture, the same friends, the same everything, but have two total different outcomes. Mm-hmm. Because they choose to give things different meanings.
That's all you could do. You can't I mean, we'll probably say a million times, you can't change what happens. You can change how you feel.
You can't dictate what happens. You can only dictate what you're
All
gonna
you
do.
can do is change your mind.
100%.
And that's how it is. But one thing I wanted to say, we were talking about how people just don't want to go through the struggle. And I was talking to somebody at the gym, and he was like, he just looks at people when they're like, they go to work, like lay down until they got to go to work again. And he was like, why would you relax when you could relax when you're dead? Like, there's a time to like sleep. It's when you're dead. Like, why? We're on this world for a reason. Why would you lay down on your bed when you could go experience something? Yeah, you're going to go through the struggle, but that struggle is going to make you better, and you're going to get everything.
That is the existential question I ask myself every day. Why do some people actualize their potential and other people not? It makes, like, the only answer I have is God. That's the only answer I got. My friends, my family, I got you. Eventually, I'll have a better answer for this to like help you actualize it and think about it in a better way.
Maybe you won't.
Maybe I won't.
Hopefully, we'll see.
I hope I will. But that's the question. Why do some people work hard to make their lives better and other people's lives better and some people don't?
How much struggle would you go to find out that answer?
I'd die for that answer.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you're not going to get it tomorrow. You might get it 70 years from now.
Might never get it. I might be the drop in the pond that makes the frog leap into the lily pad.
And then a little kid right now who's like 3 years old, 50 years from now is like, I listened to Jason's podcast.
Figures it out. All you can do is do your part. All you can do is control what you can control.
That's it, man. All you can do is be better than you were yesterday.
And not for nothing, the irony of it is that that's the best way to make the world better, is to do the best that you can.
You got to have that perspective, though. Once you start looking at other people, you devalue yourself. When you could look at yourself and be like, I was better than yesterday.
Yeah.
God woke me up this morning, and I did things that I enjoy. I saw things that were pleasing to my eye.
Right.
All these things happened to me.
Yeah. Happened for you.
Exactly. I could just be like somebody in a casket right now. Yeah. But no, I'm talking to you right now.
You were given this gift of life. You're alive. How often do you think about that when you wake up? I think it's Grant Cardone that gives this example when he talks to people. He like does like a business like meeting or conference or whatever, and he tells them, he's like, again, not my quote. I'm gonna get reamed in the comments when I clip this up, but whatever, I don't care. Is, would you rather have $1 million right now, or be able to wake up tomorrow? 10 million, 100 million, 500 million. What are you choosing every single time?
You keep going up. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yet we don't have the same amount of gratitude or more gratitude for waking up in the morning than any dollar amount. And it's wild to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I fall prey to it too. Just taking life for granted. The fact that I'm alive for granted, when in reality, I wouldn't trade trillions of dollars for not waking up tomorrow morning.
It's
perspective.
It is perspective, and I think, I don't know if it's social media or what, but there's a lot of, it's just ingrained in so many people's head
to focus on what's wrong.
That, and like just the money thing you're saying right now, people are just so focused on to worry about that, put their perspective on money rather than putting their perspective on, I woke up today.
Gratitude.
I'm alive right now.
Gratitude.
People aren't taught that. No. People are taught, go get a job. Yeah. Hopefully it changes.
That's my mission.
I know.
It's my mission, brother.
That's why it won't happen tomorrow.
I'm gonna change the education. That's why it won't happen tomorrow.
I like that.
I like that.
That might have to be on a t-shirt.
That's why it won't happen tomorrow. I think it's a good place to wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah.
I think it is. Down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit that red button for me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode number 4 of the Jason Sklar Show with my boy Ivan. Always a pleasure talking to this big man. Stay blessed, stay handsome, stay spiritual, stay sexy. Jason Sklar signing out.